Hi, this is Maria Quattrone, and this is the Be the Solution podcast. Today, I'm excited to welcome Monica Kramer. Move with Pride is a Philadelphia based real estate team, and Monica leads that team. Their mission is to create a safer place for folks of all genders, sexualities, and family structures to buy and sell homes with confidence because everybody deserves to be seen, respected, and celebrated through this intimate process. She can't wait. I'll redo that. Okay. Move with Pride is a Philadelphia based real estate team led by Monica Kramer. The mission is to create a safer place for folks of all genders, sexualities, and family structures to buy and sell homes with confidence because everyone deserves to be seen, respected, and celebrated through this intimate process. They can't wait to help you move with pride. Welcome, Mon.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, excited to talk with you today.
Yeah,
Let's
same here.
get right into it. So, you've been in the business for about 5 years or so?
6 years now, yeah.
6 years. Great. And tell me, and tell our listeners, how did you get into the industry and why?
That's a great question. So my background is in academia, and prior to real estate, I was a French professor at Penn for about 7 years. And in 2018, I wanted to do a career change, but I wasn't sure exactly which direction I should go in. And so a friend told me I should just take a personality test to just give me suggestions on what careers would be good for my personality type. And so it would fit. And so I listened, I did it. And the first job recommendation was professor on there. And I was like, okay, great. I'm already doing that. What's the next one? And the next one was real estate agent. And I remember laughing, and I was like, I would never do real estate. Like, never do real estate. It's not for me. Never in a million years would I have, chosen this. And I asked a few friends, hey, could you see me like doing this kind of job? Would I be good at it? Like, should I even pursue this? And everyone was like, yeah, actually, you'd be really good at it. You're from the area your whole life. You're involved with a lot of communities. You're outgoing. You're extroverted. And I was like, okay. And so I just went full steam ahead and I dove right into real estate classes. And my instructor was Janice Benstock at the time, and who is still my instructor today because I'm in broker's classes with her, which is kind of fun to be doing that 6 years later. But so yeah, I got licensed right away, and I just haven't looked back, and it's been quite the journey.
Wow. So you were a professor at Penn French, and now you are a thriving realtor in the Philadelphia community. How about that? It's interesting when a friend of mine told me to get into real estate, I was like, no, I don't know. I can't see it. I see the people walking around with the signs. I don't want to be doing that. Weekends, all that, right? And then all of a sudden, I talked to people like you did. And I said, what do you think? And they're like, go for it. You'd be great. And here we are 20 years later, and we're doing Be the Solution podcast. So this is all about being the solution, how you're the solution. I love Move with Pride. I think that that's a fantastic name. And, I guess before we get into that, tell me about, because you've been in business just 6 years, but doing very well. But what has been your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge, I'd say, in the business, like working on my business is, that's one of my goals this year for 2024 is to start leveraging some stuff. And so when you grow quickly, you're kind of doing a lot on your own. And so I've been, hiring some help as far as like transaction coordinating goes. But I'm looking to expand a little bit and kind of scale my business in that way to free up some more time for one-on-one client stuff. So as far as the biggest challenge, I'd say is just that growth and just learning how to leverage, learning your systems and getting all that stuff set up in place, because it's really hard to work on your business when you're working in your business, you know?
Oh, don't I know it? Don't I know it? It is. It's a very interesting industry in how you have to set up all these things in order to give yourself leverage, yet having the time to train and to set up all those things takes away from actually what we do best, and that's selling real estate.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like catch 22.
It is a catch 22, and it's a hard thing to kind of master, but there's always growing pains, and you kind of have to fail forward in a way, and sometimes, and but that's one of my goals for this year, is to start scaling and getting some leverage.
So you picked a good year for that. We might as well talk about the big elephant in the room, which is everything that's going on in the industry right now. And I'm curious, Mon, what is your take on the NAR lawsuit and decision?
So my take on it is, well, it's a bit frustrating because, anyone that knows me knows, the root to most problems, to pretty much all problems, is capitalism here. And I think these attorneys really went after clients. While I think the idea was good, the sellers at the end of the day who were in this class action lawsuit didn't quite benefit in the same way that the attorneys did. There are a few things I think that are good and some things that are not so great. I do think that, commission and how we get paid should be a topic that we discuss more often and in a more transparent way. But at the same time, by removing commission from the MLS seems to be the opposite effect, that it's almost less transparent. And my biggest thing is that at Move with Pride, and who I am in the business and who I represent most often, are the most marginalized folks in our city. And so what I mean by that is LGBTQ plus clients, people of color, immigrants, all of the above. And this class action lawsuit is going to negatively impact those folks the most. And that is what I have been sharing in my own sphere, in my own circle with people, because, some people have been asking me. And at the end of the day, if the seller isn't going to offer any kind of compensation to the buyer's agent, who's going to pay that? The buyer. And, as buyers, we're already bringing so much money to the table to get into the house. And it's going to negatively impact the people who have the least amount of money. And that tends to be folks who I serve. And that's going to be hard when you can't finance it and roll it into your closing costs, and you have to have that money out of pocket. And at the end of the day, if you can't get paid, then no one's going to show that house, or that house will be off limits, and it's going to negatively impact the seller. And so I think a lot of the consequences from this lawsuit will be felt later on, and they realize, like, oh, okay, so this is really what's happening. So that's my take on it. How about you?
So I think that it's all about how you explain it to sellers, right? So if the buyer agent can't get paid from the buyer, which I'm going to say 90% can't, and the seller doesn't offer a fee, then who's going to share the property? So it'll negatively impact the sale of the property. I would tell every seller that, that's a bad idea. And here's the deal. Like, I, as a listing broker, right, that's what I do. I negotiate the fee with the seller. And then we talk about what they would like to pay out the buyer's agent. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, close, but it just depends. And commissions are always negotiable. We always negotiate them.
Oh.
And so the buyer agent gets paid from the sale of the property. Commissions are already baked in. That's how it's financed, because the buyer brings the money and the mortgage brings the money. And if the buyer doesn't bring the money with the mortgage and their cash, there is no commission paid. So it's definitely a catch-22. It makes absolutely zero sense. And here's the thing. They never said that sellers can't or won't pay commission. The only two things that really have changed is the co-op compensation. It won't no longer be an MLS, and that buyer agents need to use a buyer agency, which is a big part of it. And I'm sure, I bet that you already do that. We've been using BACs for 17 years. I've been in the industry, I told you, 20. And so 17 of the last 20, we don't work with a buyer unless we have a BAC signed, a BFI, and a pre-approval that they've submitted, W-2s and credit and all that. So I think it will raise the bar. I think people that, real estate agents that don't do much business or aren't professionally in the industry, or they work sometimes, not all times, I think that some folks won't make it. I think, there is skill involved, and there's a debate that goes on right now. Who does more work, listing agent, buyer agent? Okay. From a standpoint of hours, I definitely agree that there's more hours involved in the buyer side. However, in the part of the listing broker, there's definitely a higher level of skill. We're negotiating, we're going out, we're finding the business, we're bringing the listings to the market. So without that, there is nothing to sell. So I don't think that there's, one necessarily is better than the other, but without the listing, there's no sale. So that's a big part of it. And I'm not going to suggest that sellers don't pay any fee. That's ridiculous. And nobody's works for free, and nobody will work for free. And I don't see anybody saying, oh, well, I'll do it for $1,000 or whatever, X dollars, X donuts.
Yeah.
Because there's no money there. You would be working for like $3 an hour.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to see too many changes here in Pennsylvania.
No, we've already been using the BAC.
Yeah.
So what, we have to get in touch with people and let them know what the comp is. Oh, I have email. I can email it out every time we have a listing. Here's what you're getting paid. Maybe people will start opening their email. But I do think that there's some good in change, and I do hope that the people with less means aren't affected by it. I'm a big proponent, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, of homeownership. We had a scholarship program for agents for a couple of years for people not in the business to get in, particularly focusing on women and minorities. I just recently sunsetted that. I found that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So spend a lot of time, money, energy, and I can't suck the life out of me anymore. So, sometimes you try to do good and it's for naught, and I guess people say, well, was it a failure? I don't know. I learned a lot. So if you learn something, it's not a failure.
There you go.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think that there's going to be change ahead. I think, the more you learn, the more you grow. It's great you're taking your broker's classes. I took all of them but one, and now they all expire. So not top of my priority, but I do a lot of education, and I've been doing a lot. I was in a conference this weekend, set Friday, part of it, and then Saturday all day virtually. They had it in Nashville, but I wasn't able to attend in person. So I am always doing something.
Yep. That's how it is in real estate. You're always doing something on some day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So tell me a little bit more about your business and what you did differently.
Yeah, sure. So I would say, when I first started in 2018, and in general now, I'm probably one of the only trans non-binary realtors in the city of Philadelphia and probably the surrounding suburbs. And so I have a very unique niche, and it's a much needed niche in the industry, which, as you know, you've been in it for so long, used to be really heavily dominated by white, cisgender, hetero men. Now that statistic is finally changing, and now I think more women are licensed than men, is what I've heard last from NAR. But I try to provide a very safe space for clients in this process, whether it's buying a home or selling their home. Clients don't have to worry about their family structure, explaining who their partners are, what their pronouns are. I'm not going to misgender them. I'm not going to assume who their spouse is based on who they tell me they are. And so, Maria, as buying a home is a really big deal, and home ownership is great, but there are so many things and so much anxiety and excitement in that process. And I just want my clients to have to worry about one thing less. And being seen in that process is really important. And I think now, especially with Gen Z and just where we are today in 2024, there are more and more people who are out and living their true, authentic lives. And they're looking to work with someone that they can identify with, that they could trust. And so that is the kind of experience I provide my clients. And that's just who I am as a person. Some other things that I like to do. I mean, I just before coming on to your podcast here, I was at a home inspection. I actually attend all my home inspections with my clients. I'm really with them every step of the way. And because my background is in education, I love being there, and I love being a teacher and a student. And so I really love guiding my clients just through every step and explaining what their options are and just kind of putting it all out there and then empowering them to make their own decisions. So that's just me. I would say me being in real estate is, I look different. I sound different than the average realtor will say in Philadelphia. And that's a good thing to me. I think we need more diversity. We need more change in the industry. And I'm really grateful to be here and to learn from incredible people who've been in the business for far longer than me. And it's just been such a nice journey, and real estate has been so good to me, and my clients have been so good to me. So it's just such a beautiful thing. I've created a really nice community here of folks, and it's just nice. I can show up as my true authentic self, and they can show up as their true authentic self. And there's never any judgment. It's just all support and happiness.
Oh, you have a great spirit. I sense that through, I can see your passion about what you do and your clients. And I think that's really important. And being authentic is critical to building a brand in today's arena, whatever that is for you. And the beauty is in real estate, you can decide whatever that is.
Yes. And I've talked about this before on some other podcasts. And I remember in 2018, and I started marketing myself as a queer realtor, and people were like, why are you doing that? And I think they just thought I was either like narrowing myself too slim, that I wouldn't be successful, that it was like a weird thing to call out. And that is literally how I built my entire business. And now I have people who call, who message, who want to reach out. Hey, how did you get to where you are? What did you do? And I've just been doing me, authentically me from the get-go. And I think some folks were, had some questions in the beginning, and now there's no question at all. And they're like, wow, this is like someone who knows the industry, who knows what they're doing, and who knows what the industry needs. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to be part of the change, and like on a local level and also on a bigger level too. I've been getting involved with some national LGBTQ plus real estate stuff, and that's been really cool.
As they say, Mon, the riches are in the niches. When you can articulate clearly who your clients are, what the avatar looks like, and it's a crystal clear vision, when you can attract that. I think many people try to do be everything to everyone. And I was guilty of that myself in the early days. But, you focus on what you focus on.
Yeah.
You
And,
know,
it's a journey.
that is correct. It is a journey. What's
Yeah.
most important is enjoying the journey along the way. That's another mistake I made. I woke up one day in 2013 and I looked, 2013, 2011, around there. Let's say 2012. And I looked around because I made my goal. It was a big goal. And I said, oh my gosh, is this all there is? Because nothing's changed. So I took that day forward and I said, enjoying the journey on a daily basis, not being worried about what everybody else is doing. Worry about yourself because
Yep.
you're your only competition,
That's right.
right?
And I like one of my favorite quotes is like comparison is the thief of
Thief of
joy.
joy.
You know it. Yeah.
Oh, I do. I know that. That's how I came into making that change. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Indeed, it is.
Yeah.
And I was always comparing myself to like, you know, the young men in the business, the brokerage at the time that I worked at, and I guess you could kind of figure that out. What I mean by that, but that's another thing you mentioned. Like there are more women, but there's still not enough women in leadership roles in the landscape, nationally and even locally. If you look around and you see, who
Yeah.
the owners of brokerages are and team leads, it's still not a ton of diversity.
I agree. Yeah. We're just at the beginning of the cusp of change. And I think going forward, we're going to see a lot more stuff happen. And I think it's going to be change for the good.
It's 100% change for the good. Everybody should be able to be served um, in a good, loving, caring way at a high level, of skill, knowledge, respect. And I think those things are really important and they're really not talked about enough.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
That's what I say. So I always love to ask this question. Guilty pleasure.
Ooh, the guilty pleasure. I don't, I think, I don't know if I have one. Um, some people will say like reality TV is like their guilty pleasure. And I don't watch reality TV. Like, that's just not for me. I don't know. And I don't even have a sweet tooth. Like, I'm like boring like that.
You have to
um,
have something. I'll tell you mine.
okay, tell me
Mine
yours
is
and that'll help.
so I love very, very good red wine, especially French and Italian,
Okay.
like really good. And also really, really good high end food. It's like, it's a little bit of an obsession. So that's why I love to travel because I like to go to these places to try, different cuisines and
Yeah.
eat some. Doesn't all have to be fancy, but it has to be
Yeah.
very high quality.
Yeah. Okay, then I will say that. That's my guilty pleasure is I love to eat and I love food and I'm actually vegan for over 9 years now. And so I I eat out all the time in Philly. I love supporting our local restaurants. I love supporting a chef that'll throw a vegan option on the menu or know how to whip something up because that speaks so much to their skill set, you know? And it's just, I don't know, I love the experience of dining, you know? I like having a server, I like having food delivered to me, and good food like brings me joy and happiness. And I just love that. I love food is love, right? Like
It is. And I also cook a lot of it.
cool.
Yeah. It's my one of my hobbies.
Nice.
Cooking high quality food.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Always find me cooking. If I had a
Cool.
bigger
Well,
house, I'd have like a lot of parties all the time.
I like entertaining too. I like hosting and yeah, my partner is the one who cooks probably most of our meals now, especially when I'm really busy, but I do love to cook. And it's fun doing vegan cooking too because you learn how to make things in a different way. And it's just a whole different experience. And it's really fun now, the stuff that they have and how technology has come so far and the offerings that we have. It's so much easier than 10 years ago.
I bet my sister just went, I guess it's went vegan, eats vegan.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to figure out some things because I use cheese and butter and eggs, and none of those things meet the vegan diet. So I'm going to figure out how to cook some. I do
Well,
cook a lot of really good vegetables, though, with like none of
mhm.
that. So,
Well,
um,
if you need help finding a cheese alternative or a butter or whatever, reach out because I'll give you the best quality of it. Because there are some, not all vegan butters and all vegan cheeses are of the same quality.
awesome. I definitely will do that.
Yeah.
So tell me, for in your business life, what you are most excited about for this year.
Oh, well, I, one of, so this just happened over the weekend. I tried a new client appreciation event this year for 2024, like just one event. I'll be hosting more throughout the year, but I just had my first one over the weekend and I rented out a movie theater and played a family friendly movie and had my clients show up, with kids, without kids, whatever. And it was so fun. It went really well and I got some good feedback on it. And that was something I had been planning since January. And it was cool to see that like come to life. And I like to host these events because I might be a little biased, but all my clients are just great. They're just like so nice and everyone is just so kind, and it's nice when seeing my clients meet other clients, and seeing them enjoy the movie theater was cool because it's really hard when people have kids. They can't just go to any movie if the kids want to run around and they'll disturb everyone in the audience. But this was our own private theater, and so they could run around and do whatever and scream and make noise, and it was just so fun. It was
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I heard some people do that before.
Yeah, I
I'm
had
glad.
never heard of it before, and I was like, let me just try something new this year. And I'm at that age where a lot of people are having kids or they already have kids, and so it was just like a nice, easy, fun event. And like, sure, why not show up for a free movie with free popcorn and just test it out.
Yeah, fun times. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, if people want to find out more about you and what you do, Mon, how can they reach you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Move with Pride. I'm big on Instagram. I do a lot of my stuff there, reels, posts. I engage in my stories a lot. So feel free to follow me on Instagram. I also host all types of videos and my highlights about home buying, selling, real estate tips. If you want to email me, my email is also in my Instagram and as well as like all my contact info. So I'm very findable. You can even Google me. A lot of people have found me on Google. And yeah, I would love to talk to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on Be the Solution and Move with Pride. Congratulations on all
Thank
your
you.
success, and I wish you the best.
Thanks so much, Maria. This is like such an honor, especially like you being the real estate OG and having me on here, a little 6-year newbie here. But
That's we all learn. We learn from each other.
yeah, this is
We
awesome.
learn
Thank
from
you
each
so much
other.
for thinking of me.
My pleasure.